Hello everyone! Today I'm going to present the history and development of the English language from Old English to Modern English. We will discuss how English changed in terms of spelling, sounds, grammar, syntax, vocabulary, and language varieties throughout different historical periods. English is one of the most widely used languages in the world today. However, the English we speak now is very different from the English spoken centuries ago. Over the last 1,500 years, English has undergone significant changes due to historical events, cultural contact, and social developments. The history of English can be divided into four major periods: Old English, Middle English, Early Modern English, and Modern English. In this video, we will explore the linguistic developments that occurred during each period. The first period is Old English, which was spoken between approximately 450 and 1150. Old English developed after the settlement of Germanic tribes known as the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes in Britain. Most of our knowledge of Old English comes from manuscripts, including the famous epic poem Beowulf. The writing system included special letters such as thorn, add, and ash, which are no longer used in modern English. In terms of sound, Old English had both long and short vowels and was pronounced very differently from modern English. The grammar was highly complex. Nouns had grammatical gender and four cases, while verbs had numerous inflectional endings. Morphologically, Old English distinguished between strong and weak verbs. The syntax was relatively flexible because grammatical relationships were shown through inflections rather than word order. The vocabulary was primarily Germanic, although some Latin and Scandinavian words were later introduced. There were four major dialects: West Saxon, Mercian, Northumbrian, and Kentish. As an example, the phrase "Vader ure pupe art on Heofonum" corresponds to the modern English phrase "Our Father who art in heaven." A major turning point in the history of English occurred in 1066 with the Norman Conquest. After William the Conqueror invaded England, French became the language of government, law, and the upper class. This contact introduced thousands of French words into English and contributed to the simplification of English grammar. These changes mark the beginning of the Middle English period. Middle English was spoken from approximately 1150 to 1500s. During this period, there was no standard spelling system. The same word could often be written in several different ways. One of the most famous literary works from this period is Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Pronunciation also changed considerably, and many Old English sounds disappeared. The morphology became simpler as many inflectional endings were lost. Because of this simplification, English relied more heavily on word order to express meaning. Vocabulary expanded rapidly through borrowing, especially from French and Latin. Several dialects existed, including Northern, Southern, Midlands, and Kentish varieties. A well-known example of Middle English is the opening line of the Canterbury Tales, one that appealed with his Saurus Sute. The next major stage in English development was influenced by the invention of the printing press and the Renaissance. The printing press, introduced by William Caxton, increased literacy and made books more widely available. As printed material spread, spelling became more consistent, and English began to move towards standardization. At the same time, Renaissance learning introduced many new words from Latin and Greek. Early modern English was spoken between 1500s and 1700s. During this period, literacy increased significantly because books became more accessible. One of the most important linguistic developments was the Great Vowel Shift, which changed the pronunciation of long vowels. Grammar continued to simplify, and sentence structures became more similar to those used today. The vocabulary expanded dramatically through borrowings from Latin and Greek. particularly in science, philosophy, and literature. Standard English gradually emerged, and people became more concerned with correct spelling and grammar. Regional and social varieties of English continued to exist, but standard forms gained prestige. This period is closely associated with William Shakespeare, whose works greatly influenced English literature. A famous example from Shakespeare is the line, "to be or not to be." By the end of the early modern English period, English had become increasingly standardized. Through British colonial expansion, trade, and later the influence of the United States, English spread around the world. As a result, English developed into an international language used across many countries and cultures. Modern English refers to the period from approximately 1700 to the present day. During this period, English spread globally and became one of the world's most important languages. Spelling became largely standardized, although pronunciation continued to vary across regions. Morphology became relatively simple compared to Old English. English now relies heavily on a fixed subject-verb-object sentence structure. The lexicon continues to expand through technological innovation, scientific developments, and global communication. Modern English also recognizes linguistic diversity. Different varieties such as British English, American English, Australian English, and Indian English have developed while remaining mutually intelligible. Today, English is used by billions of people worldwide. In conclusion, the English language has evolved continuously for more than 15 centuries. Throughout its history, English has undergone major changes in pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, and usage. Historical events such as the Norman Conquest, the invention of the printing press, and global expansion played important roles in shaping the language. From a Germanic language spoken by Anglo-Saxon settlers, English has become a global means of communication used by people around the world. Thank you for your attention. I hope this video has helped you better understand the historical development of the English language.